The Galactic Council, a coalition of the most advanced and powerful alien species in the known universe, had never seen humanity as a significant threat. We were a young, relatively primitive species compared to their millennia of history and advanced technology, but they underestimated us, and it was a mistake that would cost them dearly. The conflict started as a minor territorial dispute. Humanity had expanded rapidly, colonizing planets on the fringes of Council space. These worlds were lifeless, unclaimed by any species, yet the Council declared them part of their dominion. Diplomatic negotiations failed, and skirmishes turned into a full-scale war. The Council's superior technology quickly overwhelmed the human military. Our fleets were decimated, our colonies occupied. Thousands of soldiers were captured and taken to undisclosed locations. Despite the Geneva Conventions and interstellar treaties, the Council subjected our soldiers to unspeakable horrors, aiming to break humanity's spirit and force unconditional surrender. Reports of the torture reached Earth through covert channels. Soldiers were being experimented on, mutilated and killed in the most horrific ways imaginable. The Council believed this would demoralize us. Instead, it ignited a fire of rage and determination across our species. Humanity had always been good at one thing: adapting. Faced with annihilation, we delved into our darkest and most secretive projects. Buried deep within the Arctic ice, hidden from both our own governments and prying alien eyes, was Project Pandora. Project Pandora was humanity's most audacious and dangerous experiment. It involved genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancements, and the darkest arcane sciences. We created monsters, beings that combined the ferocity of Earth's apex predators with the intelligence and strategic thinking of humans. These creatures were designed to be the ultimate soldiers, weapons of mass destruction that could think, adapt, and kill with brutal efficiency. With no other option left, Earth's leaders authorized the release of these monsters. Our fleets, crippled and desperate, ferried them to the front lines. The Council, confident in their victory, did not see the storm coming. The first deployment was on the barren world of Epsilon Prime, a staging ground for the Council's next offensive. The monsters, known as the Pandorans, were unleashed under the cover of darkness. In mere hours, they decimated the Council's forces, leaving nothing but wreckage and blood-soaked sand. The Pandorans moved like shadows, silent and deadly, tearing through advanced defenses as if they were paper. News of the massacre spread quickly through Council space. Panic set in. The Council's fleets, once so mighty, now faced an enemy that did not fear death, an enemy that was relentless and savage. The Pandorans were not just killing machines, they were symbols of humanity's wrath and vengeance. As the Pandorans pushed deeper into Council territory, the psychological impact was devastating. Council soldiers deserted en masse, unable to face the terror that hunted them. Planets surrendered without a fight, their leaders begging for mercy. But mercy was in short supply. Finally, the Galactic Council convened an emergency summit. The once proud and arrogant leaders now trembled before a single human envoy. His message was simple and clear: unconditional surrender and the immediate release of all human prisoners, or the Pandorans would be unleashed upon their homeworlds. The Council capitulated. The surviving human soldiers were returned, broken but alive. The Pandorans were called back, their thirst for vengeance temporarily sated. Humanity had won the war not through technological superiority, but through sheer, unrelenting will and the willingness to unleash the monsters within us. The Council learned a hard lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. We were capable of great kindness, but also immense cruelty. In the end, it was our monsters that saved us, and the galaxy would never forget the price of provoking humanity's wrath. The Galactic Council, an esteemed coalition of the most advanced species in the universe, held little regard for humanity. We were deemed an upstart civilization, insignificant and easy to control. But their underestimation of humanity would lead to their undoing. The initial conflict was trivial, a border skirmish over a barren, unclaimed world on the fringe of Council space. The Council's response was swift and brutal, annihilating our colonial outpost and capturing our soldiers. What followed was a series of interrogations and tortures so vile that they violated every known interstellar treaty. The Council intended to send a clear message: humanity must stay in its place. Yet, this attempt to break us only united us. Reports of the atrocities committed against our soldiers fueled a collective rage. Our brightest minds and leaders convened in secret, knowing that conventional warfare against the technologically superior Council would be futile. We needed an edge, something to tip the scales in our favor. Thus, Project Pandora was reactivated. Originally conceived as a last resort measure, Pandora involved creating hybrid beings, part human, part apex predator, and part cybernetic organism. These creatures, known as Pandorans, were engineered to be the perfect soldiers, intelligent, adaptable, and ruthless. The Pandorans were kept hidden deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, their existence a closely guarded secret. As the Council continued its campaign of terror, Earth's leaders decided the time had come to unleash these monsters. Stealthy human ships carried the Pandorans to the Council's strongholds, where they were released in surgical strikes. The first target was Omega-12, a heavily fortified planet housing a significant Council garrison. The Pandorans struck at night, their silent and deadly precision leaving the Council forces in disarray. They moved through the base like ghosts, eliminating defenses and personnel with terrifying efficiency. By dawn, Omega-12 was a graveyard. The sudden and brutal losses shocked the Council. Their superior technology and numbers seemed meaningless against an enemy that attacked from the shadows and disappeared before a counterattack could be organized. Panic spread through their ranks as rumors of invincible human monsters grew. Humanity's strategic use of the Pandorans continued. Key Council outposts fell one after another, each leaving behind only whispers of unseen terror. The psychological impact was immense. Council soldiers, who once thought themselves invincible, now feared the dark and abandoned their posts. Realizing their dire situation, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Their arrogance had turned to fear. They sent a delegation to negotiate with humanity, hoping to end the bloodshed. In a tense meeting aboard a neutral space station, the human envoy delivered our terms: the immediate cessation of hostilities, the release of all human prisoners, and reparations for the atrocities committed. The Council, humbled and desperate, had no choice but to agree. With the conflict officially ended, the Pandorans were recalled. Their existence was kept secret from the public, and they were placed back into stasis deep within their icy tomb. Humanity had secured its place in the galaxy, not through superior technology, but through our capacity for adaptation and determination. The galaxy would never be the same. The Council, now wary of human resilience and ingenuity, approached future interactions with caution, and humanity, having unleashed its monsters once, was forever changed. The lesson was clear: provoke us at your peril, for within the heart of every human beats the potential for monstrous retribution. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, the Galactic Council reigned supreme. Comprised of the oldest and most technologically advanced species, they maintained order and peace through sheer dominance. Humanity, a relatively new player on the interstellar stage, was viewed as little more than a nuisance, a minor species with big dreams but little power. That perception changed when the Council's fleet ambushed the human colony on Viridian Prime. The colony had been established on a planet that, while unclaimed and seemingly insignificant, lay close to key Council worlds. Seeing this as a violation of their territory, the Council struck hard, capturing thousands of colonists and soldiers. The prisoners were transported to detention facilities scattered across Council space. There they endured horrific experiments and torture designed to break their will and extract strategic information. The Council believed that through fear and pain, they could force humanity into submission. Unbeknownst to the Council, humanity had a contingency plan for such an eventuality. Deep within the caverns of Mars, hidden from prying eyes, lay the culmination of a dark and desperate project, Project Pandora. Pandora was the brainchild of Earth's finest geneticists, biochemists, and military strategists. When it became clear that conventional weapons would be insufficient against a technologically superior foe, they turned to bioengineering. The result was a breed of super soldiers, monsters, spliced from the DNA of Earth's deadliest creatures and enhanced with cybernetic technology. These Pandorans were created with one purpose: to unleash hell upon those who dared threaten humanity. They were intelligent, fast, and nearly indestructible, but creating them had come with a moral cost, and they were kept in stasis, to be used only in humanity's darkest hour. That hour had arrived. With the approval of the United Earth government, covert operations began to awaken and deploy the Pandorans. The first mission targeted Epsilon Theta, a heavily fortified Council prison planet. The operation was swift and silent, executed with surgical precision. Pandorans infiltrated the facility, their enhanced abilities allowing them to move undetected and strike with lethal force. Council guards were found torn apart, their advanced weaponry rendered useless against the sheer ferocity and resilience of the Pandorans. The prisoners were liberated, and the few survivors were left to spread tales of horror. News of the attack spread like wildfire through Council space. Initial disbelief turned to fear, as more reports surfaced of similar strikes on other prison planets and military installations. The Pandorans operated with a terrifying efficiency, leaving no trace but destruction and death. The Council, facing an enemy it did not understand and could not counter, convened an emergency session. Their fear was palpable. They had underestimated humanity's capacity for both suffering and retribution. The monstrous creations they faced were not just physical threats. They were symbols of humanity's refusal to be subjugated. Desperate, the Council sought to negotiate. They offered terms of peace, the immediate cessation of all hostilities, and the unconditional release of all human prisoners. The United Earth government, in a position of unexpected strength, agreed to talks but made it clear that any further aggression would be met with the full fury of the Pandorans. The negotiations took place on neutral ground, with both sides wary and distrustful. The human delegation, led by seasoned diplomats and military leaders, presented their demands: reparations for the colonists, recognition of human sovereignty over disputed worlds, and stringent protections against further atrocities. The Council, humbled and fearful, acquiesced. They had no choice. Humanity's monsters had achieved what no conventional force could. They had brought the mighty Council to its knees. With the war officially ended, the Pandorans were returned to their stasis chambers, hidden once more beneath the Martian surface. Their existence remained classified, a dark secret that only a few knew. Humanity had won not through technological superiority, but through its willingness to unleash the monsters it had created in its own image. The galaxy, forever changed, regarded humanity with a new respect and a lingering fear. The lesson was clear. While humanity was capable of great compassion and cooperation, it also harbored a darkness that, when provoked, could unleash unimaginable devastation. The Galactic Council would never again underestimate the indomitable will of humanity. The Galactic Council had always viewed humanity as an insignificant species, a fledgling race, barely scraping the surface of space travel and technological advancement. They ruled the galaxy with an iron fist, their laws absolute, and their power unchallenged. When humanity began to expand, settling on planets that the Council considered part of their territory, the response was swift and merciless. The Council's fleets descended on human colonies like a storm. Viridian Prime, the largest of these colonies, was reduced to rubble in a matter of days. Thousands of human soldiers were captured, their fate sealed in the cold, clinical hands of the Council's scientists. These soldiers were subjected to horrific experiments, tortured for information, and used as test subjects in the Council's relentless pursuit of knowledge. Back on Earth, the news of the soldiers' fate sparked outrage and despair. The United Earth government found itself at a crossroads. Conventional warfare had proven futile against the Council's superior technology and numbers. In desperation, Earth's leaders turned to a long-abandoned and highly classified project, Project Pandora. Project Pandora was a dark chapter in human experimentation. Conceived during the early days of humanity's venture into space, it was an ambitious attempt to create the ultimate weapon, a new breed of soldiers, engineered from the DNA of Earth's most fearsome predators and augmented with cutting-edge cybernetics. The result was the Pandorans, monstrous beings with the intellect of humans and the ferocity of beasts. For years, the Pandorans had been kept in stasis, hidden deep beneath the surface of Mars. They were humanity's last resort, a terrifying solution meant to be used only when all other options had failed. With the lives of thousands of soldiers hanging in the balance, Earth's leaders made the fateful decision to unleash these creatures. The Pandorans were deployed in a series of covert operations. Small, heavily armed human ships slipped through Council defenses, delivering their deadly cargo to key locations. The first target was Zeta Reticuli 4, a Council stronghold notorious for its brutal prison camps. The Pandorans struck with a precision and brutality that left the Council forces reeling. Moving through the camp with inhuman speed and strength, they slaughtered guards and liberated prisoners with a terrifying efficiency. Those who survived the attack spread tales of monstrous, unstoppable creatures that moved like shadows and killed without mercy. The Council was caught off guard. Their advanced technology seemed impotent against the raw power and cunning of the Pandorans. As more Council facilities fell, panic spread through their ranks. The psychological impact of facing an enemy that embodied their worst nightmares was profound. Desperation forced the Council to the negotiation table. They offered a ceasefire and the immediate release of all human prisoners. The United Earth government, now in a position of strength, demanded more: reparations for the destroyed colonies, recognition of human sovereignty over disputed territories, and strict limitations on future Council expansion. Reluctantly, the Council agreed. The armistice was signed in a grand ceremony on neutral ground, but the fear and tension were palpable. The Pandorans, their mission complete, were returned to their stasis chambers on Mars. Humanity's darkest weapon had served its purpose. The war left a lasting scar on the galaxy. The Council, once unchallenged in its dominance, now treaded carefully around humanity. Our species had proven that it could not only survive, but also strike back with unimaginable force when provoked. The legend of the Pandorans became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the lengths humanity would go to protect its own. The Galactic Council and the galaxy at large had learned a hard lesson. Humanity, for all its youth and inexperience, was not to be trifled with. Behind our civilized facade lay monsters, waiting to be unleashed upon those who dared threaten our existence.